Hello E39 source, Ryan Schultz here from San Diego once again in the midst of a few projects. Bumper is off the E60, getting a paint job. We're about to disconnect the battery and proceed on with changing the steering wheel trim. So in this generation, M5 and M6, the E60, E61, E63, and E64, M5s and M6s, maybe the standard 5s as well, I don't know. The steering wheel trim in here gets kind of nasty after time. This car only has 70,000 miles on it, but as you can see, the finish is wearing off and then it gets real shiny and doesn't match the rest of the nice steering wheel trim. So it's on those corners and down here at the bottom by the M logo. So the procedure is to just replace this piece. It's kind of expensive, although it has gone down. It used to be like $300. I think now it's around $75 or $80. The button panels don't seem to be affected. They're more expensive yet. We're not going to be touching those. We're just going to be replacing this. So, start with the steering wheel completely upside down. That's how we're going to need to remove the airbag. There's an access hole at the back. We have to stick a screwdriver in there, a fairly thin one like this, and depress a spring. Is the battery disconnected? No. Clearly not. So once we get that done, we'll be able to safely handle the airbag here. But start off upside down. Then screwdriver, the access hole, I will attempt to film. It is that hole right there. I have the steering wheel all the way out towards the driver and all the way down, and that is a little easier. So you're just gonna stick your screwdriver in there and feel around until you find kind of a spring-loaded bar. And as you hit that, press it down, and then you're gonna wiggle the airbag out. Again, make sure your battery, negative and or positive terminal is disconnected in the trunk. We went ahead and picked up the part from ECS Tuning, and you can see there the part number is 32347841044. Total was $75.09, which is a far cry from what it was a few years ago. This is the piece itself. You can see it's really small, but the areas that are affected are those corners and up here, and they're all on this piece, thankfully, so we don't have to do the buttons. ECS went ahead and included the screws. We can probably reuse the old ones just fine, but it's nice they give us some new ones in case they get lost. And the battery's disconnected, so I'm going to go ahead and fish that airbag out. Okay, it's like the E39. It takes some playing with to take it apart. But anyways, we got the airbag out, not disconnected yet, but it's out. So there's that hole up there. I tried to use a Phillips screwdriver because that's the only one I could fit down there until I just jammed this flat blade down there. And what you've got to do is kind of feel for the spring. There's this metal bar here. You've got to press that down, and then it'll kind of spring out towards you. So just keep poking and playing, go left, go right, find the spring and keep pushing, and it'll come out like this. If we do need to disconnect it, you can just do it right from here instead of the two on the airbag. It's up to you if you want to take the wire with it. Well, so we've gotten to this point. This car is very bizarre. So when you get the airbag off, I went ahead and disconnected it from here. There's just a little tab. Squeeze the tab, pull it, put it in a very dry, very safe location, away from anything and anyone. Ours is up there, so if it falls, it probably detonates. You should probably move that back a little bit, but okay. So we get the airbag out, and then in the middle is a 16mm bolt. I would recommend a 6-point half-drive deep well socket, and then a breaker bar. It is normally threaded, not reverse. Unscrew it, then you can do it by hand, and then the wheel just aligns on this spline right here. So you're just going to sit here like you're driving the car and pull it straight off. As you do that, you get the wheel off, and you then learn that those 4 posts on the back of the trim we're replacing are not screws. They just kind of snap fit into the wheel, so there aren't screws back there. The screws are attaching the bottom Y piece to the button panels. That's where the screws go. So very carefully now, you're going to remove 2 Torx. I think they were Torx 20s. There's one there, and there's one here on the button panels. That will free it from the, whatever that piece of metal in there is called. I also removed those 4 screws. You don't need to do that. I'm going to put those back in a minute. And then you can very gently pry up on this, and they're going to come out together. They're just like pressure fit in there. These button panels, I think, are super expensive, so don't damage those. They come out together. Then you're going to turn it over. You can disconnect it if you want, and then you can go work on it on a workbench. There's just a little white wire there and a little white wire here at the bottom. But then the Torx screws that attach the 2 pieces are right here. So we're going to remove those 4, T20s. Put our new T20s Y in there. They're T20s. and put it back together. Put our screws back in and we're left with what looks like a new wheel. So we put those two over there, one on the right, one on the left, that hold the button panels in. There's two here, there's two there on the other side. Just line up the 6 or 8 pegs in the holes and distribute the force as you push it down in, and you're pretty much done. We're going to line this up on the spline inside the car. On the back, you will find, when you look in there, you can kind of see it. I don't have another hand to focus. A dead space, and that dead space on the spline will go on a mark on the spline in here, because if you put it on the wrong way, then you'll be steering right to go left. So you see that notch right there in the center, right there. So that's where the dead space goes. Line that up, put it on there, and then we're going to take our bolt, our 16. I'm going to look up the torque spec in a minute, and we're going to torque that back down after we plug in our 2 connectors, one of which being the multimedia buttons here, and the other one being the airbag when we line that up. And the final thing we'll do is snap the airbag back in its place. So you line the wheel back up how you had it, reinstall your 16mm, torque to 46 foot-pounds of torque. That's 46 foot-pounds using a torque wrench. Plug your airbag back in while the battery's still disconnected, line it up, give it a good firm push, and we're done. I'm going to go ahead and start the car up and pull it back up so I can get the wheel straight. And that will conclude the steering wheel removal and trim installation DIY. And there we are. Thanks for watching. Talk to you in a future video.